Still my heart, the moment I laid eyes on it.
Ayan guys, top number 2 here in Tyre.
Welcome. We were in Cana before, where Jesus made his first miracle. And then after that, he walked to Tyre. And that's where we are now, in the city of Sur, or Tyre. And I'm going to read the reading that has Jesus, explains how Jesus walked here to Sur, to Tyre. I also have a map here. I'm going to hand these out, and people can take a look and see where Jesus was walking and all of that. I'll hand those around. So we gather in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. This is a reading from the Gospel of Mark. From Galilee, where Jesus was at home, Jesus went off to the district of Tyre. He entered a house and wanted no one to know about it, but he could not escape notice. Soon a woman whose daughter had an unclean spirit heard about him. She came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by birth, and she begged him to drive the demon out of her daughter. He said to her, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She replied to him and said, "Lord, even the dogs under the table eat the children's scraps." Then he said to her, "For saying this you may go. The demon has gone out of your daughter." Then the woman went home. She found the child lying in bed and the demon gone. A couple of things I just invite us to pray with here. First, we have Jesus with a very strong, brave woman. It's a very important part of this. This is a woman who knows exactly what she needs and is strong and courageous and brave about that. And Jesus respects that. And Jesus wants us all to be strong and courageous and brave when we need to be. So a very important part. The second thing is that Jesus walked from his home here. The language was different. The culture was different. He didn't understand everyone. Many of us, like me, came from different places. And we have come here. Okay, we are here for work. We've found things to do. But sometimes we do not understand the culture. We do not understand the language. But we are with Jesus. And even when we feel like we're alone, or we don't really understand, Jesus knows that feeling. Amen. Amen. And so I want us, today we will enter and we will walk first. You will see it is an old Roman road. So 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire built a road from the south, from Galilee to Tyre, which was a big city. This is the road when Jesus walked to Tyre. This is the road he would have taken. So when we walk on the road, we're walking literally on the same place that Jesus would have walked. Amen. And he entered the city, and we will see at the beginning, it is mostly graves. So outside of the city, people would bury their family and friends who had passed away. And then inside the city, it is like a sports stadium, like a football stadium, the Hippodrome. And so we can see that, and we can walk around. We can imagine that Jesus would have gone there, and he would have smelled the food. He would have heard the sounds. Maybe he saw some of the races or the games that they played there. So we will do that walk, and then inside we will sit down and we will bring our food and we will eat inside. Okay? So we're all going to enter together, and then we'll walk the road together, and people are free on their own from there. Okay?
Okay, Father.
Very good. Thank you.
Ayun. Papasok na tayo guys sa Tyre. Yan, pangalawang stopover namin.
Yes guys, welcome back to Summer Rain channel. On today's episode, we are here in Tyre on the second stop of this pilgrimage organized by the St. Joseph Parish and community. But prior to coming here, we were in the holy place of Cana in Galilee on our first stop. the place where Jesus Christ performed his first miracle by turning the water into wine during a wedding feast. And right after we're done here in Tyre, we then head to the last stop of this pilgrimage, which will be in Our Lady of Waiting in Magdoshi. Going back here in Tyre now, Father Dan's instruction seems to be pretty loud and clear, so with the informations he shared. But sure thing is, we will gonna be asking more questions along the way.
Is this
So,
the
This is
sarcophagus?
the sarcophagus, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we have one, and you see very similar to that. Some of the others in front of the church, and then because they were when the Jesuits were here in the 1800s, they were the first archaeologists. So they were the
that's
first
why.
ones who would do like the.
It's a lot of tombs over there.
It's exactly. So this is so outside of the city, they would bury the dead.
Ah, okay.
And then inside the city they would do like the normal things we would, like if you think like I'm thinking in the US, you'd have the center of the city, which is old, and you usually didn't bury people there, you would bury them outside of the city. But then also if you had like now today, if you built a sports stadium, the center of the city there's no space, so you build it outside of the city. And so this is the sports stadium out here. This is the Hippodrome. So this is all sort of the outskirts of the town, but it's but this was the way that you would arrive. And I always think, like, imagine if you were Jesus or someone else, like coming from a small village, and you had never seen, you know, a building more than 1 story tall. You were just from a very small, simple village in Nazareth. It would have been very simple. And then you come here, and when you see some of the buildings that we will see, you think about, "Ooh, what does it look? What does it feel like? The space thing."
That's a nice one. So, this is an old cemetery.
This is the cemetery. So this is on the outside of the city. Yeah. Now we'll see some of them around. You know, some of the tombs are nicer, so maybe family was richer or something like that.
Like a prince or
Exactly. There's one up here that
that
I
one
think
father?
might have been maybe a little bit further up. We'll see more mosaics on the floor, and I think that might have been like someone. Sometimes people. So this would have been Christians, because it's clear Christian iconography there, and they didn't just put a tomb. They maybe built a little chapel. That's my guess.
Like in the Philippines, Father.
Really?
We build a house inside the cemetery to make sure that the family is gathered together there.
Okay. All right. And it would have like a little
So,
altar.
Father, real people before is
Yeah.
buried in there?
Yep. Yep. So yeah, this is the cemetery. And so you see again written in Greek.
Yeah,
I don't read
yeah.
Greek, so again, like the story we were reading, Jesus didn't speak Greek. He spoke Hebrew, Aramaic. And so when he came here, he would see all of the signs, and he didn't understand what they said because he might have been able to read all the Greek. So all of the Greek there, anything that we see in the mosaic on the floors, most of that would be written in Greek. So this would have been a very different place for him. This would not have felt like home for him. Culture was different, language was different. You will see on the tombs this whole image, the circle, the 3/4 circle, and then the spade or the heart. That is a Phoenician symbol, but I do not know what it means. I've never heard a good explanation. But that is so Phoenician from before the time of the Romans. In Tyre, in this city, when Alexander the Great from Greece came here, this was the last place that the Phoenician Empire held out against Alexander the Great. And so there was a very famous battle here. It was the last place that the Phoenician Empire held onto their city against the Greeks. Well, okay, so there's a great, what St. Paul has is the capstone. So there's the cornerstone, which is the foundation. But St. Paul will talk about the capstone. Jesus is the capstone. And so, like, without this, if we took this out, all of the other stones would fall. So if we look at that stone alone, it's just a strange shaped rock. It's nothing special. But when it's next to the capstone, when the capstone's holding it, when Christ is holding everything together, even if we're not perfect, Christ is holding us all together. And we we're all an essential part of the building. So every one of us is an important part of that, but we're held together by Christ as the capstone, holding everything together. And that allows a home to be built. It allows space for people to dance and sing and beautiful things to happen.
Guys, we've been here before and yet we are still excited to explore this whole place once again, especially after learning that Jesus Christ once walked on this very ancient road built during the 2nd century and wandered around the city. And just the thought of Jesus Christ walked on this road we are walking now makes us all privileged to be here today. What a blissful day it is indeed. By the way, according to history, Tyre is a city in the southern part of Lebanon that is one of the continuously inhabited cities of the world and has many ancient sites. Like these tombs we are seeing are known as sarcophagus. They have here also this amazing huge arch monument and a hippodrome believed to be for chariot racing. So as a whole, this place is listed by UNESCO as the World Heritage Site.
But we're also, so at the gate here, that's the beginning of the city. So we are getting closer to the city. Remember, Jesus is walking this road. And Jesus comes from a very small town where there are probably no buildings more than 1 story tall. And he walks from there, his little town in Nazareth, and he walks here to this big city. This is one of the biggest cities on the Mediterranean 2,000 years ago. And how do you know that? Their door, their gate is that big. It's enormous. It's huge. Imagine if you came from a village where the tallest building was as tall as Father Garrett. Nothing was taller than that. And it was made usually out of sticks and things. And every year you had to fix it. And then you came and you saw that. That is not the middle of the city. That's not the thing. That's not the center. That's not the expensive part. This is just the door to the city. This is the way they're saying we are an important city. We are a big city. And so you imagine Jesus trying to figure out what it's like coming into this big city, being a little bit unsure of what's going to go on, what this place is going to be. That sense of I'm walking into something very big here. And as soon as we walk past it, you'll see on both sides there are little spaces that look like shops. And so people would be selling things. If you were a traveler, you would need water, you would need food, you would need maybe to change money, like all the guys that we saw on the streets today. All of the things that a tourist or someone who's arriving would need. Also, we're going to go to the Hippodrome, which is the sports stadium. And so I always think, what do you buy at a sports stadium? Peanuts and food. If you go to watch a football game, you buy food and exactly, maybe beer, I don't know. So all of that would have been sold inside there. But this is a beautiful archway. Stunning thing.
As you guys can see, we are to enter on this enormous arch which was erected in the 2nd century with the height of 21 meters high and is made up of sandstone which used to be covered with plaster. Well, a small fragment proves that this arch was once painted in all kinds of colors. And still standing also are the ruins of large rooms that served as a guard's room on both sides. And the presence of these large guard rooms suggested that this monument indicated the city's official outer border. Which leads us to the sighting of the Tyre Hippodrome, which was also built on the 2nd century and is considered to be the largest and the best Roman hippodrome of its type in the Roman world.
So ayun guys, dito na tayo sa loob. At syempre, ang ating mga kababayan guys ay di magpapahuli sa selfie is life. Ayan. Enjoy. Sige, kuha lang kayo ng kuha dyan na. Ayun, no. So, yung iba nga natin mga kasama nandoon na at marami pa ding nandoon sa huli.
Why don't we'll climb up the seats here so we can get a better look.
And from our vantage point, we can already see the well-preserved sitting section or stadium that is surmounting a long gallery, while the remains of the start boxes and parts of the Magian strip are still visible, and each end of the course is marked by still existing turning posts. Although this hippodrome primarily meant event for chariot races. This was also used for other sports, and it's likely that at least some of the events of the Tyrian Games were celebrated at this place.
Medyo matagal-tagal na rin kaming nakapunta dito. Siguro mga ilang years nang nagdaan. So ito ay nakabalik uli at marami pa tayong mga kasama. Ayan. So nakikita niyo doon sa likod guys ay umakyat din yung mga kasama namin doon. So aakyat din tayo guys. Let's go!
And guys, we are up here in the stadium here in Tyre. This is an old stadium and believed to be that Jesus explored this place.
So you see how this is the base.
We better be careful with this one, maybe it will fall.
I know, exactly.
Welcome to Tyre! Ayun guys, nag-enjoy ang ating mga kasama dito guys at hindi pa din sila tapos mag-selfie.
Yay!
Ayun pa yung kababayan natin. Posing, ayan. Nag-enjoy ba? Too much enjoy. Nag-enjoy ba?
Nakarating tayo sa 2,000 years ago.
Yes, ayan, nag-enjoy.
Buti nakasama kayo mag-asawa.
Now we will race.
Yes, Father, we're gonna race afterwards. I believe that you're leaving?
I am.
When? On Tuesday. Oh my goodness. This is your first time or no?
Here at this one, yeah.
So where to after Lebanon?
I am going to Jordan first to get a visa, and then I will go start my new mission.
Oh, best of luck, and for sure the Filipino community and everyone, we're gonna miss you.
I will miss you. I will miss you. I will come back and visit.
Oh, inshallah.
Inshallah. I hope so. I hope so.
So guys, we are done here in Tyre after roaming around, going to the stadium, checking all the tombs, walking into the pathway where Jesus walked, and we are off to our third destination in Magdushin.